Lukman Faily, who's the Iraqi presidential spokesman. Good to have you with us on TRT World. We've seen some strains in relations in the past between Turkey and Iraq. There have been contentious issues. Is there any particular reason for optimism at this time, especially when the region is so volatile?
Thank you for having me. Obviously, we have a new government, a new outlook. We are also looking at Iraq post-Daesh. We're also looking at Iraq in a sense of a new formation of presidents and a new prime minister. That sense has meant Iraq focused on its relationship with the neighbors. This trip comes at the end of other trips we have done to the region, to our neighbors, in which we talked about strategic relationship. Turkey is a crucial partner for us. There is an emphasis from the Iraqi side, and today there was a reciprocal. It was clear that the Turks also wanted to talk about the cooperation, to talk about way forward, and to talk about how could we work together.
Now, security cooperation was one of the areas you discussed. One of Ankara's concerns has been PKK operating out of parts of Iraq. Is your government going to take any new steps that the previous governments perhaps have not taken?
Issues regarding the details of the steps will certainly, I'm not allowed to talk about it here, but the theme of cooperation, theme of national security, theme of regional security is clearly there. The emphasis has been, let's talk about what are the security types, whether it's water, environment, borders, and so on. So to that aspect of it, yes, it was discussed, but also from a cooperative perspective.
Now, there was an interesting point the Iraqi president raised. He said that Iraq does not need foreign support. The neighboring countries are enough. Does that signal some sort of a policy shift, perhaps away from the United States?
I wouldn't say it's a shift, but I would say that there is clearly an understanding in the region that if we don't get our act together, others from outside the region cannot. This is more local problems. Some of them are regional problems. Some are to do with the sense of zero-sum culture. And the President's, His Excellency, talked about that we need to look into a win-win culture.
Does your government think that the United States has disappointed Iraqis?
No, I don't think it's that way. I don't see it that way. I don't think any of our Mr. President sees that way. What we see is that there is a change in the United States, certainly, and that's not that's not a secret. At the other end, we are also changing ourselves. We're learning how to be more independent. How to can resolve our own securities, our corporations. But this is a regional issue. There has to be a new, as the President said, there has to redefine a new regional order. The old order has not worked. That was a post-World War II, post-sort of Cold War order. Now we need to look at it. Turkey and Iraq can lead in that aspect.
The two leaders talked about cooperation over Syria. Is there anything new that perhaps you could offer?
I think there was a lot of lesson learned on Syria from all parties, and the tragedy of Syria should not be repeated. Certainly we need to contain the current situation, and certainly we need to look into a regional solution for it, obviously respecting the democratic rights or sovereignty of the country as well, of Syria.
Right. Very briefly, the Iranians have basically been sort of viewing Iraq as a sphere of influence. The US has been expressing concern about the role of Iran post withdrawal. Do you feel that your relations with Iran may change over that?
The animosity between U.S. and Iran is not new. The nuclear deal, that in itself has manifested as its own result of it. Iraq have said to both, actually we've said to all, let us get our act together. Let us fix our economy. Let us fix our own geopolitical, geo-economical challenges ourselves. We need to work with you, but you need to give us breathing space to that effect, and we have said that to all parties. I see that's the Iraqi approach.
Lukman Faily, thank you very much indeed for talking to TRT World.